So let me ask you a quick question to kick things off. Do virtual organizations exist in thin air? It's really tempting to think so, right? We hear the word virtual and immediately picture data just floating aimlessly in the cloud. But here's a fascinating insight from our source material. Even a completely virtual business is anchored in reality. They have actual markets, they have very real customers, they use physical communication channels, and they are totally bound by concrete technological and political environments. Basically, no business, whether it's virtual or physical, operates in a vacuum.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're analyzing the organizational environment to completely demystify the external forces that dictate a company's survival. And here is the absolute best part. Understanding this isn't just about high-level corporate strategy. It is directly tied to your own career success, your promotions, and your ability to lead. We are going to break down exactly how to read and, more importantly, adapt to the ecosystem around you.
All right, here is our roadmap for today. First, beyond the organizational bubble. Second, the broad mega environment. Third, your specific task environment. Fourth, navigating competitive forces. And finally, culture and stakeholder needs. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. Beyond the organizational bubble. No business is an island.
Okay, so to start, we really need to flip how we view a company. Organizations are not closed loops. They're actually open systems heavily impacted by the external environment. And by that, we mean the major forces outside the organization that have the potential to significantly influence whether a product or service succeeds. Now, why does this matter to you specifically? Well, as a manager or a professional, your salary, your bonuses, and that next big promotion heavily depend on how well you understand and adapt to these outside forces. Your job is essentially managing how your company interacts with the outside world to keep customers happy and deliver quality products.
Moving on to Section 2, the broad mega environment, the big picture. To make sense of all the chaos outside a company's walls, we divide the external environment into two main buckets. First, you have the mega environment, which consists of broad conditions and sweeping societal trends. Then, you have the task environment, which consists of the specific, day-to-day outside elements an organization interfaces with directly. The easiest way to think about it? The mega environment is like the overall climate, and the task environment is today's weather. Picture the organization sitting dead center in an ecosystem. Immediately surrounding it in those inner circles is the task environment. These are the players the business deals with every single day. But encapsulate all that into larger outer rings, and you have the mega environment. A company might feel insulated, but it is entirely surrounded and impacted by layers upon layers of external pressures.
That outer ring of the mega environment, it involves massive, literally unstoppable forces. We're talking about the technological element. Think about how AI is just completely disrupting entire industries right now. Then there's the economic element, which is how wealth is produced and distributed on a global scale. We also have the legal-political element, encompassing all those complex government regulations a company absolutely must follow. There's the socio-cultural element, representing shifting demographics and rapidly evolving societal values. And finally, the international element, because a sudden development in a country halfway across the globe can drastically change a local organization's fortunes practically overnight. You can't control these forces, but you absolutely must monitor them.
Section 3. Your specific task environment. The front lines.
Now, the task environment is where the daily battles are actually fought. First and foremost, you have customers, right? They are the lifeblood of any organization. Then you have competitors, rival firms actively trying to steal your market share. You've got suppliers, the folks providing the raw materials you need just to operate. You also have to navigate public pressure groups who might hold you accountable for your environmental or social practices. And of course, government agencies at both the local and national levels who are actively monitoring your legal compliance. This is your immediate neighborhood, and you have to know everyone in it.
Section 4. Navigating competitive forces, the industry rivalry.
You've probably heard of Porter's competitive forces framework. It perfectly captures the constant tension a business faces, because the threats are completely multidirectional. You aren't just fighting the rivalry among existing firms. You have to constantly watch your back for the threat of new competitors entering the space, or the threat of substitute goods that could make your product totally obsolete. On top of all that, you're getting squeezed from both ends by bargaining power. Your buyers want lower prices, and your suppliers want to charge you more. It is a continuous, high-stakes balancing act of navigating threats from all sides.
Finally, Section 5. Culture and stakeholder needs, the internal glue.
So, with all these massive external and competitive pressures bearing down on a company, how does it not just completely collapse? Well, our source material brilliantly describes corporate culture as the glue binding all the parts, or the oil that keeps them moving. Culture is made up of the shared assumptions, the beliefs, and the norms that unite the people inside the organization. Put simply, it's the way we do things around here. When the external environment gets chaotic, and it always does, a strong internal culture is exactly what keeps the team aligned and functioning effectively.
But culture isn't just some motivational poster on a break room wall, right? How do employees actually learn it? It really happens in 4 concrete ways. First, through stories. These are the narratives about past successes, failures, or even legendary employees that signal what the company truly values. Second, rituals. Those repetitive activities, like maybe a weekly all-hands meeting or really a unique way of celebrating project milestones. Third, material symbols. The physical layout of the office, the dress code, the perks that create the organization's unique personality. And fourth, language. The acronyms and jargon that make members feel like they're part of an insider club. This is how abstract concepts become tangible daily actions.
Part of that culture has to be geared towards satisfying a really diverse group of stakeholders, which honestly is a constant juggling act. You've got owners and investors demanding sustained profitability and timely, accurate info, but you also have customers demanding top-tier product safety and completely honest pricing. Meanwhile, your employees are rightly concerned with fair wages, safe conditions, and a diverse, merit-based workplace. And finally, society at large expects you to care about things like recycling, pollution prevention, and global environmental standards. Adapting to your environment means figuring out how to balance these sometimes competing yet equally critical concerns.
Which brings us to our final thought today. I want you to look at your own work for a second, your own role. Are you just managing the tasks right in front of you, or are you truly adapting to your larger ecosystem? Because to be effective, to truly succeed, you have to look outside the bubble. You have to understand the megatrends, maneuver through that task environment, navigate the competitive forces, and use culture to balance the needs of all your stakeholders. Keep these frameworks in mind the next time you step back into your own organization, and you'll find yourself not just surviving your environment, but genuinely thriving in it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.